YouTube, what's going on? Trust Talk Podcast back at it again. It's your boy, Mr. GDK. As always, man, appreciate y'all for stopping by. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. And as always, welcome. Man. So, what we want to talk about today? I got it. I want to talk about, the social media effect on society, especially in marriage today. That's what I want to talk about today. Um, Before I get into my spiel, let me say this. Me personally, and this is just me, I've never been a super big fan of social media. Um, I had Facebook, had Instagram, uh, what else I had? Facebook, Instagram. I use X, which was back when I used it was Twitter. And I think that's probably was about it. I have used Reddit. Reddit was okay, but needless to say, um, I got rid of all of them, and I actually deleted Facebook, deleted Instagram, deleted Twitter, and got rid of Reddit also. Um, I'm just not one of them people that wake up or I'm always in search of seeing what others have going on. Nothing wrong with it, but that's just not who I am. Um, with that being said, I will start with the positives first when it comes to what I think about social media. Social media has changed the entire world of how we as people, human beings, interact with one another and interact just basically in our daily life. It has changed the entire landscape. I remember when the iPhone first released, I think it was the year 2005 or 2006. It was one of those years I believe when the iPhone first released, the very first iPhone first released. And I remember I got one and man, that thing really just from a user perspective changed the game. That phone was a true leap in um just evolution of a, you know, product that was on a, you know, information of, on just getting information from it changed. It truly changed in because really what it turned into was a small PC in the palm of your hand. It changed the game. The iPhone, when it first released, changed the game. And once it implemented itself in society, we see where we are today. Really, the two main big, companies, which is, Apple and Samsung. So, most if a person don't have a iPhone, they have some version of a Samsung. But the way that we um consume and share content and information with one another is on a phenomenal scale. And I think the positives are exponentially great. People can interact with friends and family that they're not close to. People can just share so many just moments and information with each other now because of smartphones and technology and apps and tablets and just the way that we can use them in today's time. So I think that's great. I think the forward progress of technology and technical devices and in our lives today is unique. I think the fingerprint that it has left is a very wide fingerprint, and it's not done. Um, it's going to continue to evolve, grow, and the way that we use it and the way that we add it to complement our lives on a day-to-day basis is going to continue to evolve into something that is going to, we'll just see what it looks like in the future. But I think the way that we interact with, social media today is mind blowing. Like I said, there's a lot of positives. There's a lot of positives. I don't knock the positives at all because it has done great things. People have been able to come together and unify and, stand for what's right. Um, you know, make their voice and make their presence heard on certain topics. I'm not gonna get into all topics, but we know. So I think, there's been a lot of positives for the way that, social media and smart devices, cell phones have influenced, you know, just life in general. Um, Now, with that being said, I want to focus on not necessarily, on the things that I think the flip side to it, the flip side to it, what people don't pay attention to when it comes to social media and the way that we interact with it and the way that we intake content and put out content. um it's interesting. It has truly influenced the way, like, it has really influenced the way that people live their lives. And for married couples, um we broadcast a lot now. The you know I see a lot of people broadcasting a lot of the vulnerable and even sometimes intimate, um, you know, places of their marriage on social media. Now people are going to do what they want to do. To each his own. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. I say there's nothing wrong with it. But me personally, I'm a much more private and reserved person, so I'm not really one of them people that like people in my space like that unless I just really know you. But man, it's the content and some of the videos and just some of the things that we see in today's time. Now with social media, it's crazy. I remember growing up, in order to find something that you had to watch the news, you know, or you didn't hear about something till it hit the news or literally word of mouth because that's just how information traveled when I was, younger and, getting into my late teens and, kind of early 20s. That's just how information kind of traveled. Now, man, you think about it, you can literally go to your phone and you can get information, a very vast amount of information all in an instant. Like the intake of information that you can take from a smart device within 10, 15, 20 minutes is monumental. It's like, literally, it's like, you know, taking a sponge that is full of water and submerging it underwater and literally trying to make the sponge keep expanding and intaking when it can't anymore. That's how I feel, social media has impact life for individuals. Not all, but some individuals, especially married couples as well. I think it's just we're drowning in it and we are intaking so much that we don't know how to filter out any of it. We don't know how to filter out any of it. Um, it's unique, man. I mean, I know people like to share and people like to post. Um, Me personally, I'm not. I'm just not a social media buff. My wife more is. Which there's nothing wrong with it, like I said. But there are just some, and we see some of the things that has happened because of social media and you know information that people get a hold to and then expose it, that has tore down marriages and has tore up people's lifestyle and messed up people's lifestyle. It's just wild to me. Like, you know your literally house, the way that social media now and the content a lot of people see that is promoted to them, or the algorithm that they get, you know has really influence people to think that you can live your life in this particular fashion and think that it will be beneficial for you to live like this when actually it isn't. Um, there's so much content out here that has, I truly believe, that's just brainwashed a lot of individuals and has, you know, got a lot of individuals and married couples trying to live a lifestyle that is not conducive to them, especially for married couples. A lot of people is trying to, I like to say, play the game when it comes to social media. You have some people in couples try to play I call it social media game and trying to get, followers, you know, is I see that that's big, getting a lot of followers, getting a lot of followers. I got 10,000 followers, or I got 100,000 followers, or I got, whatever the case may be. I see that's very, very big now, and people chase that. People chase, wanting people to follow them and wanting people to, you know, like their content so much and keep the algorithm going, and that's, there's nothing wrong with that. People, I watch certain content, and people put, there are some people out there, that put out great content, put out funny content, amusing content, and there's nothing wrong with that. You putting out, for those people that's putting out positive and, you know, content that's in the comedy, umbrella, applause to them. God bless you. Keep making great content. Keep being creative. Keep having that, that amazing spark that you have, because I don't knock it. I watch a lot of funny content and I laugh my butt off because it's nice. It's good. It's good content. It's well thought out. It's well put together. People take the time. I understand what it means to edit and crop and add in certain things, to make the content, appeal to people. So for those who out there, doing a great job, and putting out great content, to, you know, make people laugh and, people to enjoy, man, God bless you. God keep you. Keep doing your thing. Hope hope God takes you truly where you want to go so you can prosper with it in life. So have no issue with that. But we also get to see the flip side. We also get to see the negative. We also get to see the bad things when it comes to social media. And I like to say this. For me personally, the reason why I don't like social media is, one, I'm not a big picture guy. I don't like taking pictures. Two, I don't like people in my business. Three, I'm not a person who likes to get on a app like, Facebook or TikTok or Instagram and scroll for hours looking at, pictures and, you know, content that is just appalling to me. Like I don't like all of that stuff. And then it's just, I don't like spending all of my time with my head down in a cell phone. I can find better things to do with a lot of my time than to just be with my head down in a cell phone all the time. But it's wild to me how we have we as a society and as like to say married couples, we have let a device that's, no bigger than our hand really create and cause so much influence on our life, on how we go about our day-to-day life, how we carry ourselves. Like I said, you have people playing the social media game, even married couples playing the social media game, because, you know, social media has given people this impression or given people this thought that, hey, if you make it on social media, that's it. Is you good. Like get you a lot of followers, all you need is one piece of content that can get you over the hump. And you'll see a lot of people chasing this validation. They be chasing this, sense of, I need this. I need to be big on social media. I need to have, followers. It was nothing it was nothing like that when I growing up. It was nothing about having followers. Now, like you see people, man, they are going, you see content literally, of people going to extremes because of social media, seeking validation. They want validation so bad that you have a lot of people and couples who are willing to sell out just for likes, just so their content can be a part of people's algorithm. I refuse. Can't do it. For one, and like I said, I'm not talking about the positive content. I'm not talking about the stuff that is, great and positive and cool and really has a, positive impact, on people and on society. I'm talking about the other content, the other side. And and trust me, I'm not the only one who sees this content. I have seen literally content to where, you know, people getting hurt, shot at. I see people, telling people that they need to be living their life like this or caring about that or just, getting on some of these, mainly TikTok now, I guess. I don't know. I never had TikTok in my life, never had an account, but, I hear and see content like sometimes my wife showed me people are really ready to risk it all for social media. And it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me because the idea has been painted that if you can make it in social media, you can be, and get the title of being a influencer. We want to be influencers. We want to be, you know, social media influencer. We want to be able to influence the media. Hmm. I will say this to anyone out there that is chasing it. If you're chasing it for the right reasons, like I say, God bless you, God keep you, keep doing your thing. I'm not hating on anybody. Get your monetizations, your Patreons, whatever it is that you're trying to get from it. By all means, if God got it meant for you, get it. But I'm talking about those who are chasing it and for the wrong reasons and putting out the wrong information and putting out bad information that is influencing individuals and even married couples to do certain things or to persuade them that because I believe now that social media has truly painted a perception of people's reality and people truly believe it. And I'm like, I don't man, like I myself personally can truly see the wicked side of social media for what it really, really is. And now that you got AI in the mix and that making, some of this content, a lot of people think that it's funny. Let me speak from a different side real quick. Let me throw this lit piece of caveat in. Now, I'm not the smartest person. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm not the sharpest or the hardest tool in the shed or in the toolbox. But I went to school and took classes for coding to get my, degree and, IT. I didn't mix with, C++. Um, what's the other one? I didn't did Xcode, which is Apple. I didn't did Java, played around with Java. And some of these codes that people sit down and write and string and character together is unbelievable. I think people don't even understand those that are in IT and those that are IT illiterate, they know. Those people know coding is a very complex string of word, characters, numbers, letters, and expression written, written to make something, either work or calculate or take an input and give out an output. That's the whole name of the game. What you input will be your output. That's how coding works. What you input will be your output. And some of this, and with AI in the mix, watch what social media looks like in the next. I'm gonna go with an educated guess, 5 to 10 years from now. Watch what it looks like with AI on board now. And now you having some of these programs with, AI, generated in the background, which can now, evaluate inputs on the fly and give back outputs of what someone asks. You're gonna start really seeing some content. If you think some of this content you see is crazy now, and you can tell that it's AI, in some more years you won't be able to tell. I promise you, you won't. It's gonna get that. It's gonna get that good and that sophisticated. Because once you create a program that can keep evolving just by off of user input, it'll always have calculations to give an output. And that's what your apps like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and all these other, even with me being on YouTube, YouTube is kind of built on the same premise. It'll always be able to give you an output as long as you're willing to put an input into it. And some of the stuff that we put on social media, and notice I said we, because I'm include myself in this because I'm no better than nobody else. Some of the stuff that we input for people to see is just downright disrespectful. It's just downright disrespectful. Some of the stuff that we get to see on some of these social media platforms is really, I feel that we as human beings, just in general, we need to hold ourselves to a much, much higher standard. Because now what people fail to realize is once you put that content out there, you can't get it out. You can't go back and just delete it. If you put it out there, and if somebody gets a hold to it, you can delete it. But once it's out there, it's out there. There ain't no coming back from it. And you have seen a lot of content that has been put out destroy people's lives. And there's been people who can't recuperate from it. There's been people who have took their lives because of social media. Getting bullied on social media, or it's so much. I mean, you have adults my age and put out content that is just downright disrespectful. No moral. It's just it's not morally based. It's unethical based. And social media is so wide open now. You can literally put out any content that you want. Stop. People will put out content literally, like I said, just to play the game, just so they can get a bunch of likes, just so they can get a bunch of followers. People want that. People want that fame, and you can walk in. Yeah, I'm recording. Yeah, I love you too. My wife done walked in on me mid recording, but I almost lost my mental space. But anyway, but yeah, man, it's wild. Some of the stuff, some of the games that people are willing to play to get to that influencer status on social media is wild. But like I was saying earlier, be very careful about that title, because how you influence people, you will be, look, we all will be held accountable for it. The content that you put out to influence people, you will be held accountable for it. And I think a lot of people do not understand it, because some of this content that we see, you know, it's like it's just wild to me. And there's no slowing it down as long as people now, because you can't hide anything now. Everything is just instant. And when something happens, there's always somebody now around with a cell phone to record and then post. And I promise you, isn't that is what's the word I'm looking for? That is astounding to think that you don't even have to wait for the news anymore to get news. All you have to do is be on your phone and be on the right app or following the right content at the right time to find out something instant. When I was growing up in the, I was born early 80s, late 80s, 90s, there was, you didn't, we never got, the world news. We never had the world news in the palm of our hand. Now people have everything in the palm of their hand. All they got to do is swipe up or down, double click, push a push the button in the middle of their phone to record, to respond back, type back, text, whatever. Like everything is instant. Everything is instant. Everything is instant now, and that's just how it is. That's how it's gonna go. You got a lot of people a lot of people want to be famous on social media. A lot of people want to be famous. Married couples want to be famous on social media. Nothing wrong with it. Like I said, if it's for you, it's for you. But I do think that a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people sometimes don't understand what they're asking for. Sometimes the thing that you want so bad can be a curse because a lot of people want this influencer tag when it comes to social media. Married couples want it too. Like I said, I done seen married couples, man, look, situations, private situations blow over in marriages and somebody recording, a husband recording the wife or wife recording the husband about a situation that happened in the marriage that, they mad about. And it's like, why would you put that live on your social media that you and your wife or the wife and the husband is having a real bad altercation because of something that someone may found out or some news came about, and now you literally blasting each other on social media, and you'll have people record this live and put this out there, and I'll be thinking to myself, for what reason? Why would you expose you know hardships in marriage is hard enough, so why would you put that out there and expose that marriage? For those people who know, like myself, marriage is hard as hell. Why would I put some information out about my marriage on social media when the things that we're going through and that information is already internally damaging enough? So why would I throw it out there for it to be externally damaging? That like, maybe in math, two negatives making a positive when you're doing multiplication, but in life that don't work. Two negatives can make three negatives. So why create a third? Why create a third scenario of the same thing? But people want this. People want you know the following and the influencer tag so bad. I remember I asked this to my son one time, my youngest one. And I said I had asked him one time. I said, "Do you want a lot of followers on social media?" He was probably about 15 at the time. He's finna graduate high school now. And he was like, "Yep." And I said, "I want to ask you a question." I said, "If I put you in the middle of the street, in the middle of a 4-lane street, and I put, let's say I put 100,000 people behind you, and I tell you, don't look backwards, not one time. And I want you to just start walking forward and go about your everyday routine of how you live your life." I said, "How would that make you feel?" And he was like, that'll feel weird. I don't know." He said, "I'll feel nervous because I don't know what people are doing behind me." I said, "Well, there's your answer to why you shouldn't. There's your answer to why you shouldn't want all those people following you, because you're now worrying about individuals, a lot of individuals that probably don't even, really don't have a concern about you. Only thing they're concerned about is what you're going to do and what you're doing. They're not concerned about you as a person. They're not concerned about, how you living. They're not concerned about your day to day. All they are concerned about is the content that you put out for them. That's it. That's it. How bad of an influencer you want to be? People want the lifestyle so bad. People, people will do anything to be on social media these days. It is mind-boggling to me. Get this going. Um, but I think, and then I think when I'm reading, I like, there's this book right after the book of Proverbs, and this word always rolls off my tongue, just so terrible. Ecclesiastes. That it's not a big chapter in the Bible, but it was this gentleman in the book by the name of Solomon. He had everything. Solomon had any and everything that a man could desire. He wealthy. He had all the prestige. He had, vineyards, concubines. He literally had, people that were musicians on. I'm talking about like on tap. If he wanted somebody to play something for him, he can play. He can walk outside. He had his own guard. The- Solomon had everything. He had everything at his disposal. Just like a famous person, just like we think that famous people have everything because they got the money, the nice house, they got the followings, they getting all the likes, they getting all the publicity, they getting all the views. You know, in the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon had all that and some, and some. But little did he find out that it was all vanity and he couldn't hold on to it. And and all the things that he had and all the things that he was acquiring and getting, he simply found out that that all of it was nothing without God in the center of his life. Without God, all of it was nothing. And that's why you see a lot of individuals, they chase it. You know, they chase that life so hard. And then if they finally get it, they done gave up so much to get it. So therefore they try to hold on to it very, very tight because they feel like they have nothing else because they didn't get. If you give up, uh, think of it like working out. As the old statement go, no pain, no gains. In order for you to gain the physique that you want to have, if you want a six pack, bigger arms, chest, if you want the physique, if you want that physique, then you're gonna have to give up something, and that's it. That's time. You're gonna have to give up discipline. You're gonna have to give up discipline to achieve that. You're gonna have to be disciplined to achieve it, and you're gonna have to give that. You're gonna have to give it up because in order to get those results, you're gonna have to put in the work. You got to think of it like that. So I mean, man, that man had everything, and yet he found out, and all the things that he had, that life was nothing without God. He had it all, I can assure you. Just like y'all see some of these people that, and a lot of these people on social media, some of these couples and individual paint these, these lifestyles for people that's watching on social media. That ain't how they really living. That's not how they really living at all. It's not how they living. It's like, and yet, people put this content out here, and, people, digest it and thinking that, they can live their life like this. I can do this every day and be good. No, you can't. You better get some, you better look for some real substance in your life. And I know, and to be perfectly honest, you're not gonna find it on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X. Um, you're really not gonna find it on to me personally, on any of these sites. Where you gonna find it at is you taking your time, picking you up one of these in whatever version that you want, and get to know them. Because you done seen a lot of these celebrities, man, have it all, and their life still be in shambles. And I know for a fact, a lot of us, that are on the outside looking in, be looking at some of these people that we feel that are at the pinnacle or at the top. Be like, man, and some crazy news to been broke. Like they done did what? Man, they got like all right, think of Sean Diddy Combs. Everybody know what's going on with Sean Diddy Combs. So I ain't got to go into it. But how many average people sit back and think like, man, what in the hell are you thinking? You got all this prestige. You have made millions upon millions. You are in a place where a lot of people dream and wish they can be. And that is how occupying the space, so to say, that's what the accusations are. I don't know if you're guilty or not. I really don't care, but I'm just using this as a hypothetical. Like, that's what you're so-called, that's how you're conducting yourself in that space. That's what you're doing. That's the narrative that that is out there about you. Like, but hey, if you don't know how to control power, look, as my boy Rick James say, look, how you make that statement when he said cocaine a hell of a drug? Power is too. And when you don't know how to use power properly, it will consume you. And that's what happened to to a lot of individuals when they're chasing this lifestyle now. When I was coming up, it was rich and trying to be rich and famous was a little bit different. It was, I would say, more talent based. That's not to say people don't have talent today, but somebody can put out a video of something and it really wasn't even trying to accomplish anything, and it can go viral and change their life, and they wasn't even trying to do it. They just put it out there having fun, and it can literally catch on like that and can change their life. Social media has truly truly changed the way that we as human beings move throughout the world today. And it ain't going nowhere neither. It's not going nowhere. What it's gonna look like in the next few years is gonna be is look, sit back and hold, as I say, sit back and hold on, because it's gonna be a doozy. When it's going to be a doozy. It is. Social media is, look, if people think social media is a trip, just wait. It's just warming up. You ain't seen nothing yet. And that's a guarantee. Because one thing about social media ain't shy to show you anything. It will show you any and everything if you willing to look. And it don't take much to look for it. It don't take much at all. For my married couples, man, you know, there's nothing wrong. Like I said, there's nothing, wrong with having, social media accounts and sharing content about your, the things that you do in your marriage and how you go about your, day. But I always say, I would like to say to married couples, be very, very cautious of what you share on social media about your life, the wife and the husband, because a lot of it's not meant to be out there. Because once you put it out there, one, you can't get it back. Two, it doesn't matter a lot of times what you put out there. Sometimes people have their own perspective and their own mind and thought process of how they view and see things, and they're going to judge according to their perspective and their reality, not to yours and whatnot, and what sometimes you put out there to be, and how you think it needs to be, or how you want it to be perceived. It's not seen like that a lot of the times about what you put out there. People have their own way of thinking. People have their own thought process. So I would say definitely be careful on that point. I see couples put things out when their relationship, when things in their marriage is going, it's not going right. You don't want to let people in your marriage when things are not, you know, on the same accord. I have literally seen, my wife has showed me people on Facebook to when things are going on in their marriage, and the status on their relationship has went from married to complicated. Like, excuse me. Like, why would you even like what? Who needs to know that? Well, this is marriage, man. When something in marriage isn't complicated, just sometimes asking my wife what she want to eat can be complicated. What you talking about? That can be complicated. Just that. Like you like. I think sometimes, man, we do not understand some of the stuff that we have put out there. I like, and I truly feel as married couples and individuals, a lot of the content that's on social, a lot of the things that we, digest from social media, we were not designed to intake all of the information that we get. Remember when And literally in the beginning, when Adam and Eve was in the garden, and the serpent strode up on Eve and started having a conversation with her about, asking him, the serpent asking her about what what to eat, what can and can't eat in the garden, and the thing, the whole conversation goes on to Eve telling her that we can't eat of the tree in the midst of the garden, or surely we'll die. And devil beguiled her, and then she ate and gave it to Adam, and he ate. It's just kind of odd that before they ate that apple, they was good knowing everything that they knew. Was no shame. There was no, nothing. And then once they ate that apple, once they took that bite and they looked at each other, they went from being naked and not ashamed to being naked and shameful of seeing each other naked, which was crazy. Like y'all was look, it clearly states that, in my New King James study by my older Bible, I ain't got it in my room with me. That Bible, you know, states that Adam and Eve 9 times out of 10 had already been intimate. Now they're ashamed of being in front of each other. But it's interesting that they went that they didn't look at the emotions that hit them all of a sudden, that they were never designed to. We weren't designed to deal with guilt, shame, um, all the emotions that they got hit with at one time. All those emotions of evil, we were never meant to process like that. Shame and guilt and being disobedient, being disrespectful. All those things we were never meant to process and deal with. So now when you fast forward, and it's kind of ironic that Apple, the company Apple on the back of the phone has an apple with a bite out of it, which is ironic, but whatever. Um, a lot of the information that is put out there that we intake and digest, we're not meant to process. A lot of this bad content that you see and that we intake and we process and that we share with other people, man, we're not meant to mentally deal with a lot of it. That's why you see a lot of people now, they deal with a lot of mental health issues. You wonder why, a lot of couples have mental health issues, and they don't, from this or from that. It's simple. It dates back because a lot of the things that we have had to process over the years in our life, we were never God did not design us to intake that and and it be processed. That's why it clearly has states that, hey, the serpent didn't lie to it. He said you will know, you will know good and evil. Evil things, we are not meant we are not meant to process. And there's a lot of bad stuff on social media. I'm just being honest. Everybody knows it. There's and a lot of this stuff, man, we piggyback on. We'll look at that stuff and people will make content off of it, and we piggyback on it, giving our point of view when a lot of it ain't even worth having a point of view over. So this content stuff is outrageous. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I would never, never. But hey, we wanted to know so bad. Look, and we are still like that to this day as humans beings. As human beings, we want to know every little and every little bitty thing. Excuse me. We don't want this. Look, we got what's that term? That FOMO, a fear of missing out. We have that complex very bad as human beings in this world. We have a very bad FOMO problem. We have a very bad fear of missing out. Hmm. We really do. But that's where we are in today's time, because people, it's social media. There's a there's a thin line between the good and bad of social media. There's a very, very faint thin line, I believe, between the good and the bad of social media, and how it has affected, marriages, how it has affected people. because now you see people get out here. I didn't seen content where people people are putting out there. You know, I see content from a lot of women putting out there telling women that they shouldn't be married. You know, I divorced my husband. You should, if you married and he blah blah blah, you need divorce. Like, whoa, like, and these people have real influence. They have lots of followers and have people, really, mentally thinking like that. Like, I shouldn't get married. Men put it out too, talking about they look as marriage as a business decision. Okay. I mean, if that's how you want to think about marriage as a business, then you're entitled to think like that. But marriage was no business. God ordained marriage. I ain't see no LLCs involved. I ain't see no financial portfolios involved. I ain't read nowhere in Genesis where he ordained man and woman, that husband and wife, as a business plan. Only plan was when she was to be man helpmate. That's it. I don't know where the business plan came from. Now I ain't saying don't come together and get a solid game plan together to win. That ain't what I'm saying. But I don't. But like you got guys out here thinking it's a like hold on. If it was a business plan, then man, go be an entrepreneur and start you a small business. Marriage ain't a business. Marriage is a commitment. And you got people out here on these social media platforms and putting out content, man, telling people that marriage is something else. No, marriage is a commitment between man, woman, God. Ain't no business plan. I don't read. It ain't nowhere in the vows. It says for better or worse, for rich or poor, sickness and death, and health do and all that. To death do us part. I ain't did anybody in that part hear anything about being a partnership or it's a business plan, anything like that. Till death do us part. There's a lot of partnerships that fails, but they don't fail till they don't hold on till death come into place. So a lot of people is painting a lot of bad narratives about, especially when it comes to social media and how it is, you know, pointing at marriages and telling people, about marriage. And then it is influencing those that are married to go about and be unmarried. What have we come to in today's world? What have we as human beings and as people, when it comes to social media, what are we thinking sometimes? It just boggles my mind to some of the content that I see, and I'm like, what? I seen one woman say she divorced her husband because he was up. He wasn't doing he was up. He just ran into a bad time. She had told him talking about she wasn't paying. She wasn't touching no bills. That's your job. She divorced her. She put away her husband behind I don't want to say it the way I want. She put away her husband behind a dead man on a piece of paper. She put away her husband behind a dead man on a piece of paper. All because he just was going through a rough time to where he had to work a regular job. He wasn't, bringing in the financial income that he was normally bringing in. She put her husband away behind it, and then was influencing other women to kind of do the same. Like if he can't take care of everything, I don't need him. So you ain't gonna help. You ain't gonna help your mate, huh? You gotta watch some of these people that they want to be influencers. They want all the prestige. You gotta watch some of these people, man. Some of these people ain't out here to give you to give you honest perspective about what marriage really is. They ain't. They not. And there's been a lot of married couples that have followed these trends, followed these social media norms, and and have ruined their marriage. It's crazy. But as I always say, if it's one thing I know, if I told y'all that all the stuff that you see on social media and all this content that you take in, if I told you that it has already happened before and it's not new, the only difference is now we just have the technologies to show it more, to show it in a more, accelerated pace. So Go to my Bible go to my app as always. I'm gonna switch my camera. I'm in Ecclesiastes. This is still chapter 1, verse 9. Let's go. It says, "The things that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Hmm. Is there anything thereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before." Scroll down. Check this out. Verse 11 is interesting. "There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after." Let me switch back. So for those out here that don't know, all this stuff that you see on social media, all this bad content sometimes, and all this wild stuff that you see, ain't none of this new. The only thing that make it seem new is just because now we can get the knowing of all this information almost instant. But the things that have been happening is nothing new. It's nothing new about it. All this has happened before. All of it. People, people chasing this type, people, chasing this type of validation, and people, all this stuff has been done before. Those out there who are putting out the content and want to go viral off their content, wanting to have all the likes, all the followings, all the comments underneath that, they just because as some celebrities say, you know, all talk, all talking gossip is good talking gossip because it keeps you relevant, regardless if it's good, regardless if it's bad information or good information. All of it is, you know, for them, how some of them think is a positive. It really is. But I want to read. I want to read something. Let me see. I ain't see can I find it, but let me see. Do I do have it here in my book? In my book. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, I found it. It says in Ecclesiastes, it says, focusing on the chapter 2, verses 1 through 11, it says, "Solomon pursued fulfillment through pleasure, wine, great works, wealth, aesthetic and artistic pleasures, and fame. And all of these fail to bring lasting satisfaction to the wisest man of all time. Yet people 3,000 years later are still trying them in search of enduring fulfillment." This everything. Like I said, he had everything. He had done everything. He had he was he there was nothing outside of his reach. Everybody, there's a lot of people that's on social media, they try to obtain that. Because I always like to make a statement. If people didn't like pictures, like content, if the double tap or the like or the tapping of the heart, if people didn't like content and pictures and things like that, would you still put out would people still put out content? Will people still post pictures? Will people still put up information? If they was to take the like, comment, and share feature away from social media, and the only thing you could do is just post and just put stuff out there without commenting on it, without liking on it, without saying anything, would people still put information out? If the only thing you could do is just watch it and then go to the next thing without saying anything, you couldn't share it with nobody, you couldn't share it in a text message, you couldn't, if it was just like that, would people still put content on social media platforms? Hmm. Interesting question, is it? Will people still do it? If the features of like, share, comment, subscribe, or whatever the case may be. If all those features were taken away off social media platforms, and the only thing you can do was put something out there, somebody can look. If I was to post a picture, so the only thing somebody did was look at the picture and scroll by and go to the next person that they follow. They couldn't leave a comment, couldn't let nobody. I'll guarantee you there will be a lot of people that wouldn't use social media. Just wouldn't. We seek validation. A lot of us seek validation, and we've been validated. We've been validated for a very somebody already took care of that for us. It's already been taken care of. You don't need it from another. You don't need it from some of us. Some of us chase this in social media, and we don't need it. And there's a lot of people that have thrown away their lives, lost themselves in the mix, or even taken their own life because they felt that they deserve to have something so bad that and they did everything to get there and it didn't work out for them, and they have literally taken their lives. Like social media has, like I said, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad, and there's a very thin line in social media, and this and how you um and I would say how individuals, whether you're single or married, the way that you interact and carry yourself on social media is a very, very thin line now. It's a very thin line, man. It's a very thin line. And a lot of people, don't care because you'll see people go off the deep rail and spaz out. And it's crazy. It's crazy to me. Man, married people go on social media and spaz out. Now, you see content when people that threw away their whole marriage on social media. You done threw away your whole marriage for the whole world to see. I don't think people, man, look, let me warn people about it. Let me give you people a warning when it comes to social media as of now. You better be very careful about the content you put out, because when you get to looking for jobs, some of these companies will pull up your social media background and look. Once they make a decision to feel once they make the decision to feel like you can be a part of their company and they run a background check, they can look at your social media too. And content that you put out there, guess what? They will in the future be able to get access to it. And then when the background check come back and then you don't know why they changed their mind, you just found that. I just gave you the game, because they were able to look at your social media platform and see the type of content that you put out, and they was like, hold on. They were talking like, look, they had a great interview, but look at the stuff that they put out here. Look at what they doing. And they married. They're doing this with their spouse, or they doing this with their husband. Look at the stuff that they doing on social media. No, we're not gonna hire this person. No, I'm good. We good. We gonna look whenever we come look, call them back, let them know that we decided to go a different route. We found a better candidate. A lot of people don't think like that, but hey, I'm telling you look, what you put on social media now, you better pay attention, because like, hey, it can affect you for the rest of your life. All it takes is one content. All it takes is one piece of content to put out that can change the whole dynamic of your life. It can change it for the good, or it can change it for the bad. It's a very thin line. It's a very, very thin line of how social media can affect things. It's a very thin line, especially for marriages, because two things that have, cleave together, and when something a social media can just rip a marriage apart, and I'm talking about instantly. The wrong content or the wrong information can rip a marriage apart instantly, and you don't want that in a marriage, and you don't want social media to have no type of bearing on it neither. I really wanted to more so talk about this topic more than anything, because it's just wild to me. Social media had A lot of people feel that social media has given them this, you know as my boy Huey had in the Boondocks, a soapbox to stand on and say whatever they feel they need to say. And sometimes a lot of stuff that people say is not even worth saying. Like, you putting out be careful what put out there on social media. As it says in Proverbs, power and death is in the light, is in the tongue. And those that, speak of it will eat its fruits. And some people they don't care. They're gonna put any and everything out. As long as they can keep that algorithm, as long as they can keep pushing that algorithm and getting them likes and them followers, look, man, they'll put out any content and a comment on anything as long as they can keep getting people, they can keep, getting the validation from people and keep things going the way that they're going. It's just what it is. It's just the world we in today. And it's not going to slow down nor is it going to change. Social media just truly, like I said, social media is here to stay, and the effects that it's going to have in the future on, you know individual lives is going to play a major, major, major role. It's not going nowhere, and it's going to be interesting to see in the next few years how it evolves, and how it evolves going forward, and how it's going to interact in our day-to-day lives, because it's definitely going to be a change in it. It's definitely going to be something that is going to come along with social media, and is going to elevate it in our day-to-day use. That's why, and so for married couples, man, we have to be very, very cautious of what we put out there. We have to be very, very cautious of what we let people see about our marriage, because look, like I said, once invite other people into knowing what's going on in your marriage, and knowing what's going on, and know what's going on there, it's not good. Think of Adam and Eve. As soon as she got to listening to some outside noise about what can be done and what can't be done, she got bamboozled. All because, look, wasn't paying attention to the real instruction. Be careful what you let in your marriage. Be careful what you put out there, let people see about your marriage. Be careful what you put out there, let people see about what you got going on in your life. When things ain't going good, it ain't for you to take to social media and throw it out there, or throw shade on the other person and stuff like that. That ain't what social media is about, especially when it comes to marriage. Some things are meant to stay private. Some things ain't meant for everybody to know. Like I said, you can't get to your destination with hitchhikers. You can't get there with no digital hitchhikers either. Because a lot of things that goes on social media, we know. We see what the algorithm is. We get some of this content out here where it says to be like, when you see it, you should be like, man, you know what? I'm done with the internet for today, because I can promise you the internet, as as people like to say and make the statement, the internet as of now, the internet is undefeated, because I can assure you, you'll see a piece of content, you'll be like, you know what? I'm done for today. Let me just put my phone down. But this is just where we are now in today's time. People put a lot of emphasis on social media. People put a lot of emphasis on having followers. Have put a lot of emphasis on having validation. People feel like if they ain't got, a certain amount of followers, they ain't, they not living right, or they're not measuring up to what life really is. And I can assure you, having 100,000 followers or whatever it is, that ain't life. Although it could be a plus on your life, but that's not life. That's not having no substance or enrichment in your life. Learning how to having an authentic relationship with Jesus Christ. That ain't nothing authentic by having a hundred some thousand followers. 'Cause I can be dead honest with you. Some of the people that got all these followers, a lot of them are bots. Some people even paid to have followers. Yeah, you can pay to have followers. I can promise you, you can pay to have them, and a lot of them be bots. Right? That statement. So some people will look. Some people are trying to fake it till they make it with social media. They're trying to fake it till they make it. And they have a lot of people fooled and bamboozled about it. So, married couples, be very, very cautious with social media in today's time. Be very, very cautious with what you put out. Be very, very cautious of what you let someone know about you, because they can put it out too. That's one reason why it's I don't know, something just clicked in me some years back, and I mean years back, to where I just me you know, social media just didn't do it for me no more. I needed something that was a little bit more tangible to fill the gaps of social media. So I do other activities myself, to be trying to, physically stay in better shape. My hobbies, um, just focus on other things. Just trying to get more, you know, better discipline mentally, physically, spiritually. Like, I'd rather take a lot of that time that I, would spend in social media and focus it on those parts of my life. Because to me, that's not to say social media can't be a benefit in your life. For me, it's just not something that I'm willing to put that much time into and try to make it turn into some type of, you know, social impact. It just don't, I just don't get that from it. But that's my spiel when it comes to social media, man. Social media is, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's not just, social media is unbelievable, and the way that it has been incorporated into life is unreal, and it is here to stay, and it is, and the change that it has made will it'll never be the same. But married couples, man, just know, be careful with social media, because I think a lot of us are just, we have gotten so comfortable with using it on a day-to-day basis. I just don't think we understand the magnitude that it has, especially, me being somebody who's been married long as I have, the impact of the type of content I can put out, and somebody else can see it that may be, that could be younger than me, and trying to find some decent and positive information, and some information that maybe can help build a solid foundation in their life going forward. That's why I wouldn't put no crazy type of content out, or, just go off the rails talking about anything. I couldn't do it, because I just feel like I will be held, accountable, and I don't want to put out something that I have to try to give some type of crazy explanation for. I just don't. That's just me. That's just my personal perspective on that part. But with that being said, man, that's my spill on social media. It'll definitely be another part to this, because this is the soft this is the soft version. This ain't the real version of how I really want to get into it. But I always try to pick and choose my words carefully about a subject and how I want to approach it. Because how I really feel about social media is, as far as I'm concerned, they can shut them all off. Be dead honest with you. I don't even YouTube, all of them get shut off. I wouldn't. I promise you, I wouldn't miss a beat. I wouldn't. Some other people lose their mind. You should have seen how people was acting when they were talking about shutting down TikTok. Boy, people almost was going mad in the streets when they talking about shutting down TikTok. But like I say, that's what we are. But man, this your boy Mr. GDK, man. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with me, stopping by, listening to my perspective. Um, you know, as I say to my married couples, be careful when it comes to social media, man, and how you play with social media. Be careful with the information that you put out there. Be careful with the information that you let people have about you. Um, be careful about what you share. Be careful about what you post, because, you know, even for me, I'm doing YouTube, and I think I may have 10 subscribers. Most of them probably family members, but still, with them just being family members, I'm still gonna be very cautious about what I put out there, because I know my family members have young kids that may see it. I just, well, whatever. It's just, I'm gonna always be cautious and always be careful about what I put out, because I don't want to just put out anything. I just don't. And then for those who out here trying to, married couples become, influencers when it comes to social media, man, be careful. Be very, very careful. There's a thin line between, what you put out there for people to consume. Because if you put something out there and you put the wrong thing out there and people jump on it, you're gonna have to keep putting out that same type of content. And you have a lot of people who are caught on literally on a hamster wheel doing that with their life. And that's where you see the mental breakdown at. And you don't want that for yourself, nor you don't want that for your marriage or individually. If you're just a single person, you don't want that. But because you got a lot of people on the hamster wheel with their content, putting it out there just because they got that look. They literally chasing a circle. That's it. But that being said, man, that's my spiel. Appreciate y'all, man. As always, stay prayed up, stay humble. I was trying to get this done. My birthday is tomorrow, Easter Sunday, and we're gonna have a good day. So, love y'all. God bless. Get up if you're willing. God will enable. Go to church. Have a great service. Enjoy your day. Peace, loves, blessings. I'm out.